And Bo, you did shame me. I did go in and edit that comment out last week. I was
Did
going to
you?
let it roll. And then I said, I better
I
take
can't
it.
remember which comment it was now. Even it was so
I'll
bad.
tell you later, so I
Yeah,
don't have to
don't
edit
put it
again.
back in. You'll just have to re-edit.
I don't want to have to edit again. I had to go find that son of a gun, and that was a bear.
Oh, I know what it was. I know what it was. I remember completely. You don't. Yep, I remember. I remember.
Roots,
Absolutely.
and it's probably not what people are thinking.
That's funny to hear you say that. That's hilarious.
So I'm completely innocent. So what we're going to do today, this is kind of the off month. Most weeks inside of a month, you're looking at usually 4 Wednesdays, but this wonderful month of April has given us 5. So what I'm going to do with every 5th, it's such a good way, every 5th, we're going to basically bring some people in. We're going to drink a whiskey, talk about it, but more so answer questions from people that have watched past episodes. So I have a couple questions for the group on that, and we're all going to taste some whiskey. So I have Jeptha Creed. People either love this or hate this. So I said, let's give it a whirl. Bo, what are you up to? What's going on in your life? What are you drinking?
What's going on in my life? Let's see. The life's actually pretty normal and tame. Just work, and we're going camping this weekend. There you go. That's what's going on in my life. But I'm going to do the Knob Creek 9-year single barrel reserve, 120 proof, going a little strong, going a little oaky, going a little traditional because I had to sit outside tonight in honor of Eddie and put a stogie in my face and have a little cigar. So it just felt like the right taste profile as I was debating which one on my shelf. Plus, you can see I have kind of enjoyed this one because there's not a whole heck of a lot left in the bottle.
Well, I think the funny thing, Bo, is the whiskey shelf behind you and the whiskey shelf you have upstairs looks very, very normal. Like, I can't even tell the difference.
They look the same, huh? So what you're telling me is no bottles looks about the same as my whiskey shelf? Let me see if we can give you something else to edit out of the show, Mr.
No, that's on you, dude. I only edit when I screw up. All right, Eddie, what you got tonight?
I love me a good High West. So I have the High West Barrel Select finished in cognac barrels.
Cognac, that's very nice.
Cognac, yeah. Fancy.
That is.
And it's about look like 100 proof.
Okay.
I can
Nice.
read it right.
Brian, I got to ask Brian, now that we all know what we're drinking, what was that face? Was that just a crappy nose, a super strong nose?
That nose is weird. I was not expecting that. I didn't mean to do that while Eddie was talking, but I was like, oh, let me take a little sniff on this. I was like, oh my god, it's musty. It's like a
peat?
Yeah.
Got your peat going in there?
It's like earthy. No, it's a bourbon. It's earthy though.
I know, but I'm saying like it has that's what I think of when I think of peated.
Interesting. We'll see what this thing tastes like. So, Bo, you want to give us a little heads up on your Knobs Creek? Like, why do you like Knob Creek, and what do you get out of the flavor profile of yours?
So it's kind of fun as you've educated us. It's always fun to come back to one that you drink normally, or maybe you throw an ice cube in it and have a cocktail with it, or you just sit with a glass of it to come back and actually do a tasting after you've already tasted it. And to me today, it's similar. I mean, there's a lot of oak in this one. It's a high proof, so you get a lot of that age and that oak to it, which I really enjoy. But I got I got a creaminess to it, kind of almost a buttery creaminess out of the nose this time, and kind of a really smooth, soft sweetness. It's not as sweet as some of the other bourbons and the corn stuff that we've talked about. So I kind of enjoyed that different note that I picked out of it. Don't get a lot of other florals or herbals or any of that type of stuff. That's more in the Whistle Pig that I was debating whether to go with or not. But just a good, I don't get a ton of vanilla with this one. I think it's very subtle. But I like the Knob Creek because while it's got 120 proof, so it's definitely got a warmth. The finish is not overly long. It's a nice medium finish, but it's a good warm feeling all the way down that holds just long enough. So I kind of enjoy that. And again, it just complements the crap out of a nice cigar.
Nice. Anything that pairs with a cigar can't be that bad.
You can't beat it.
Eddie, Eddie got new shelves for his whiskey lounge because
he was running out.
Didn't have enough space for his whiskey. You might have a problem when.
Yes, I have to move stuff around now. Move some of the pictures and add some shelves.
Some of us have too many shelves and not enough whiskey. Eddie has too many whiskey and not enough shelves. So
not enough shelves. Yes,
I'm working on it.
You're a work in progress. All right, so I'm gonna tell you something. The nose of this, awful, awful. The taste is damn good.
Yeah.
Oh my
Wow.
god! I mean, the finish to me is the best part. The taste is good. The nose is. It literally smells like must. Eddie,
Old
you remember
socks in a
that taste
barrel.
we had with the blind barrels where we had that musty.
Yeah.
Yes, the smelly socks. Yes.
The, this has got smelly
Wow.
socks. It definitely
Wow.
does.
So,
But the taste is. That's one of the better tasting whiskeys I've had in my entire life. To
no
be honest,
joke.
like from being set up to what I think it's going to be to that, but the finish is warm. My mouth tingles. I get pepper. I get sweet. Still going. It's
Still
good.
going. Still
It's still
going.
go.
And
And
going.
going.
It's still going. New layer just kind of rolled through.
Interesting.
What's your flavor?
I'll give you the tasting notes here in a minute, but I'm telling you, nose not so good. Taste finish.
Wow.
Oh my god! All right, Eddie, go ahead and go with your High West and give me some of that.
So a little backstory about High West. So when I started with whiskey, I started with bourbon. Didn't really care for bourbon very much. It was almost one-dimensional. So I switched to Scotch.
That's why you shouldn't drink Blanton's all the time.
Yes.
Sorry, people.
He
Wow.
doesn't drink it. He just
I
has the
guess
bottles all up on his shelf. You're not
I
allowed to
guess
drink.
they're not sponsoring this episode, huh?
Buffalo Trace is not going to spend time with us.
That's right. Yes. So I went to Scotch and I landed on Johnny Walker Double Black, and that has some smoke, it has some peat. And now I was hooked on peat. So I just went Ardbeg, Lafroy, Lagavulin, Octomore, like all the way.
Yep.
And then I ran into High West Campfire, and that is a blend of bourbon, rye, and Scotch. And I tasted it, and I was like, wow, this is delicious. I'm going to give bourbon another chance. So after I tasted High West, I actually reached out. I emailed the head distiller,
Yeah.
and he actually emailed me back and said, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Here are some other High West to enjoy as well. But High West to me is everything I've tasted has been great. And it can be anything from the $35 bottle to the $200 bottle. And so I'm also a big fan of cognac. So you take High West, finish in cognac barrels. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
What if they put Campfire finished in cognac?
Yes. The sweet, the smoky, a little peat. Oh, yeah.
That'd be really good. But no, I agree. I'm a High West fan. I really enjoy their products. I've never walked away from a High West pour tasting and gone, I just can't stand that.
I'm going to tell you
Yeah.
guys a funny story. Eddie, you said you like cognac, and so I can remember I was young in the lumber business, and we had a client up in Brooklyn, New York, and this guy was a Croatian fella, immigrant. He had come over as I think the patriarch had come over from Croatia with really nothing and kind of built himself this business. He built a distribution yard in a block of Brooklyn. Ended up being 2 blocks because he put a door plan in by the end, and his son was in it, and I didn't know a whole lot about the Croatian culture, but it's very Italian from an American standpoint, right? Probably insulting to them, but when you go to a Croatian restaurant or you look at their culture, you look at their food, it's got a very Italian flavor for me being young and not knowing any better to relate to. So went to a nice restaurant, and this guy was kind of John Gotti-esque, right? He had the big gray hair, he had the shirt open, he had a necklace down here, he had these huge hands, he drove a Mercedes S-Class, picked me up at the airport. I was up there on a claim. So I'm seeing all this going, I'm probably never getting back out of here. But the guy was just super great host. We had a dinner where they brought a table out special and set it up, and it was just a great time. He took me back to his house, and he pours some cognac. And he's in the special little sniffers and all that stuff. And we're looking at this painting of his house on the Aegean Sea, right? It overlooks the Aegean Sea, and he had a painting done of it. And we're looking at it, and I take that first sip, and it's that moment where you realize as a 20-year-old dealing with a 50-something-year-old that this tastes like shit, and I can't let him see it. And so I took a sip of it and was just fighting all things I could to control my face and everything else. And he takes his sip and he kind of starts pointing over here. And as he looks away, I started doing the thing where I would wait until he was looking away and I do this and have that nasty face, and then I turn back and it's delicious, And that worked until I realized I had done that enough that he's like, oh, you really enjoy this, huh? Let me pour you another one.
I have to drive tonight, sir. I think
Wow.
it's classic. So give us some tasting notes on that there, Eddie.
To me, this is caramel on the nose. There is some alcohol. There's a little burn, dark fruits, almost like creme brulee. Yeah.
When you set dessert on fire, you can't go wrong.
No, you can't.
Yes. Yeah.
Creme brulee is that dessert that if it's ever on the menu, my wife and I have a deal that we just have to order it, whether we want it or not.
I don't
just
blame
that
you.
dessert.
It's
that
yummy.
dessert. It's just that dessert.
And the finish, it kind of hugs you. It lingers. Yes, it's a nice, not a burn, hardly any pepper, but it's just like a tingling sensation at the back of the throat. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So
good stuff.
That's what I like about this Knob Creek. That finish is just warm for just the right amount of time. It just hangs right there with a warmth all through the throat. I like it a lot.
And I'm going to tell you right now, this is wacky, but I really like it. Eddie, I'll bring you some on Sunday.
All right.
Nose, little musty. Taste, peppery right out the gate. Definitely getting, but it's not like, it's like a peppery-ish. Goes into a sweetness. It's not caramel. I would say it's more like a fruit, like a plum, like a dark fruit. And then very earthy, very leather. This is one of the whiskeys that I really get leather out of this one. I get leather. And then the finish, like I said, is peppery, sweet, long, hug, tingles, hangs out for about 5 minutes. I mean,
I don't know if this group is watching or not, and I don't know who this distiller is, but by God, they better be watching, and they better be sending all kinds of swag.
I like I said, if you overcome the nose, it's pretty good, and it's only 93 proof, so it's not even a super hard hitter.
That's got to be a weird mix, though, when you're so much of your taste, right, is in your olfactory, right? I mean, just in general.
Yeah, but
so to have that nose going into a taste is like.
It's happened to me twice now, where I've had terrible nose for me, and gone into a really good whiskey. Typically, when the nose is bad, I'm like, oh no, here we go. This is gonna be mean and what. But again, this one is really, really good. So I had a question. Let me look over here. You guys talk a lot of bourbons and a lot of American whiskeys. What's your favorite Scotch? Mine is. I refer you back to bourbon and rye. No. Scotland and Ireland might have created it first. No.
This is all you, Eddie. This is right up your alley.
We'll let Eddie give you his. Mine is actually pretty affordable. Glen Kitchie 12-year-old. That's probably my favorite. It's floral, it's sweet, but not overly. I hate floral. You put floral in a whiskey, you pretty much jettison me out. But there's floral, but it's not bad. But I get a little salty, and I get a lot of fruit notes as well. So I would say, I think that one's out of Edinburgh. Is probably my favorite Scotch. I know Eddie's a Isla guy and Jura guy. So, Bo, before Eddie takes on, might talk for 30 minutes. You got any Scotches?
I don't have. The only real Scotch I can say that I've tasted other than maybe something that's happened in my past, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was my uncle had it up at the farm. I went to visit him, and he had some friends there, and it was the smoke. I mean, literally, you felt like you were drinking a cigar. It had that much smoke flavor to it. And I know it was Irish. I just can't remember. I want to say it was like Ardbeg.
Ardbeg.
Ardbeg. Yeah.
Ardbeg.
Yeah, there you go. See,
that's a good one.
Unfortunately, like I said, I told you this was not my forte, but I had that. It was an Ardbeg, and it was so smoky. I mean, like pungently smoky on the taste.
Yeah.
That's all.
But the one thing I've learned about most of the really, really peaty whiskeys, they're ungodly sweet too. Like they're usually just really, really flavorful sweet, but then you do get that smoke behind. But all right, Eddie, favorite Scotch? Let's hear it. Keep it down to like 9.
No. So kind of my daily, if I was going to do peaty Scotch, it would either be Kalila or Ardbeg.
Okay.
If I had a special occasion, I would go for Octomore. And Octomore, I mean, they have such an incredible presentation. I mean, the bottle is just beautiful. It's black. I mean, this is, God, 50. This is 120 proof. And what they're able to do in 5 to 7 years is just incredible. The head distiller is just a genius, and all of the Octomores are usually barrel strength, but balanced. You don't have to add much water to it. It says it's the heaviest peated Scotch in the world, but you nose it, you taste it. It's balanced, it's delicious, it's smoky, it's peaty, it's all of that.
Yeah. What about somebody getting into Scotch? What would be a recommendation?
Getting into Scotch, I would go for Jura. Jura is a small island. You have 300 people that lives on this island, and there's one distillery.
Yeah.
You
And
disappeared, Brian.
Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead.
yeah, and there's no peat. It's just very approachable. Or Glenmorangie is another one that's just very affordable, very easy to get.
So what's the Octomore you said? What is the
Octomore.
Yeah, what's it run from a pricing standpoint? Pretty they know how good they are?
They probably start at 180
Yeah.
and up. Yeah. So when I see it at the local ABC, I haven't seen it much in Virginia. I've seen it a couple of times in North Carolina. I will try to pick up one if my wife is not watching.
That works.
In that same boat. I came home with a bottle today, but I brought a bottle of tequila at the same time for my wife, so that got me out of jail. They had Buffalo Trace on the shelf. I was like, oh, $20.
Well,
why not?
Yeah, why not?
People love it. I give it off. I give it a lot of times as a gift. People are like, oh man, you're gonna give me Buffalo $20 bottle of whiskey, man. If you went to my shelves, that's like bottom third.
Knock yourself out, baby. That's how much I
Enjoy
love
your,
you.
enjoy your visit with Buffalo Trace. No, it's a good whiskey, especially for a beginner. I really like Monkey Shoulder as a starting Scotch. It does have a little bit of smoke. It's got a lot of citrus, some floral, but not crazy. Very affordable, really good mixed drinks as well. So it can stand up neat, but it also would be a good entry level going into cocktails as well, I think. And again, Monkey Shoulder is just a great name for a whiskey. That was named after the guys back in the day that were rolling the
barley, yes, and
so they're
they
pulling
got
the rake,
shoulder
and their
injuries.
one shoulders would just kind of collapse, and they kind of looked deformed, and they had kind of one shoulder hanging way low. So it's actually kind of mean, but in the tradition, in the sense of whiskey heritage, it's a great name for a whiskey. So I think that's interesting. And then I had a golf question from Brian. Boy, you need a lot of work. One thing I'm amazed about with golfer is how many of them don't actually take lessons. There's very few professions or games or whatever where people are like, yeah, I want to be really good at that, but I don't want to learn from somebody that really is really good at it.
I've known you for how long, Brian? I've never once asked you for a lesson.
Yeah, no. So Brian was talking about he's having setup issues and grip issues. Well, how do you know those are your issues? Number one. But anyway, so setup, where I see most amateurs go wrong is they're too tall, right? So you should tilt at the waist, right? So you should actually go forward. What I see a lot of amateurs do is they stand way too tall and their weight is actually kind of back towards their heels. So the only thing you can do from that position is take the club ungodly in, which gets the club trapped kind of behind you. You don't have any good options from there. When the club's trapped behind you, you got to swing it all the way back out and around. It's bad golf. And then grip is your connector, right? That is actually puts you on the golf club. So the grip is really important, but to me, setup and grip are not fundamentals. Those are pieces that need to kind of set up how you like to move the club or how you're designed as a human being. So some people need to bend more at the waist. Some will be a little taller. But like I said, most amateurs are way too tall. If you watch on tour, those guys are pretty well bent at the waist. They're not standing nearly as tall. And again, if you're bent at the waist, it allows you to turn around your spine easier, allows you to put the club on a better plane and be able to keep the club out in front of you and make a better swing. So what I would tell Brian to do is probably bend a little bit more at the waist. Grip wise, it's up to him on what he does. But with grip, typically, right, we have two hands. So the lead hand is kind of face control. So whatever the lead hand rotates through, the face is going to travel. The trail hand, or your right hand for a right-handed golfer, the bottom hand is going to be kind of your power side. So that's going to be pushing the club through the hitting zone, where the lead side's not really going to pull. It's going to be kind of rotation of the chest and kind of the extension of the right arm, pushing the club through. So that's why you would get more of a power side. So what's the right grip? What works for you? So technically, if you looked at a grip and when you look down, you only see one knuckle. So as I look down on the club, I can only see one knuckle. We'd call that pretty neutral. And then as our left hand comes over the top of the club, we say we are strengthening our grip. And by the more knuckles I can see, the stronger the grip. So you got to remember, the body's going to want to return to however you are kind of anatomically set up, right? So if you take this wrist and you roll it way over, if you swing, it's going to try to return to how you would normally stand or grab something. So by going really strong with the grip, what that's going to force you to do is through the hitting zone is to roll the club back through, which might be something you need to do to square club face. And vice versa, if you took it where you basically saw no knuckles or whatever, you'd get to a very weak grip and you'd have the exact opposite. So Brian, the best way I can describe it is send me a video, tell me what you're trying to do. I can help you that way. But generically speaking, your setup, this is for putting, this is for short game, this is for long game. Setup is the path that the club wants to travel on. So however I set my body is going to be the path that the club is going to want to go on. And then grip to me, like for me, when I play a lot of golf, I will actually change my grip throughout the round, depending on shots I'm trying to hit. So I don't go with the exact same grip for every single shot I hit, especially around the green. I will actually manipulate my grip to be able to promote a motion that I'm trying to create. So don't think of grip and it has to be two knuckles or vice versa. The key is, again, find the grip and find the actual setup that allows you to hit it the best. Maybe you have to stand a little taller. Maybe you have to be more bent over or some version of it. We got to find what works for you, because the one thing I know about golf is there is no one way to do it. If so, everybody on tour would look the exact same. And
so let me ask you a question on that follow-up. So I think you alluded to it, but so there's a right way and a wrong way. I mean, there's obviously a wrong way. It's not a right way, maybe that's the way to say it. There's definitely a wrong way.
There's better ways.
But right, there's better way. But it's also a lot of your own preference and comfort, right? Because if you're completely uncomfortable and forcing yourself into something that you've read or watched and you're just not at all comfortable, that's going to flow against you. So what would you say the balance of, you got to find your body position within what level of kind of structure that is just right? You understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, because everybody moves differently. Like if I tried to swing like Tiger Woods, there's no way. My hips do not move nearly as fast as Tiger Woods in his prime. Like there is Brian Bailey in his prime versus Tiger Woods. Like my hips would never move. So I could not create the speed that he does the way that he does. It's just the fact of life, right? But, when I was playing my best golf, I was pretty strong, pretty big guy. So I had strengths in different areas, right? I was a big barrel chested guy. So to me, I was able to move the club very, very fast with my rotation of my chest. I didn't need the hips to be fast. The hips just had to support my chest so I could hit a good shot. So, again, if you look at the way Scotty Scheffler swings versus Rory, they're two completely different golf swings, but they're the best two ball strikers on this planet. So again, what you have to do is find the way that you move and that you move the best. And if you understand how you move, and as long as that the way you move isn't going to create injury, which is always the number one thing you're talking as a coach, you don't want the player to create injuries for the future. The key is we got to get you to move the way you need to move.
Yeah.
Now, what is the proper backswing? Whatever it takes for you to hit a good golf ball. John Rahm swings really, really short. Tommy Fleetwood has a really short follow through. Scotty Scheffler's feet literally looks like he's jumping in the air as he's swinging. It doesn't matter. Like I said, you've got to figure out how you can move. And John Rahm's got a right ankle that doesn't flex. Like as a kid he had some sort of disorder, and his basically right foot doesn't. So when he walks, it doesn't really do this. So he can't swing like everybody else because of the way his right foot works. But he was #1 player in the world and made a whole lot of money. And
so now I'll show my age and I'll say, okay, so when you look at a Jim Furyk swing, what do you think as a coach?
From the top of the swing to the golf ball is perfect.
Okay, just getting back there is wonky, but he comes through right.
Well,
okay.
he took it out, and then he would loop it in. But once he looped it, from the point he looped it to the golf ball, his downswing was as good as anybody. And
Gotcha.
I will tell you right now, there was no straighter hitter of the golf ball, probably in golf ever, than Jim Furyk. But if you
just always hear about that plane that's not supposed to move so much, when you read stuff, but he had that. But I guess that was to get him back to his point. But once he came to strike it, he was good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. From whenever he got to the top of his golf swing to the actually got to the golf ball, it was good. I mean, so the funny part is, I would guarantee you this: if you took Scotty Scheffler's golf swing from 10 years ago, and he had the same footwork, and you took it to 5 of the best tour coaches, they would immediately say, we need to fix his footwork.
Yeah.
They would, because it doesn't look good. So the problem with a lot of coaches and a lot of players is they try to create something that looks pretty. Pretty doesn't win. How you move the golf club is really important. So I thought that was interesting. That's a big old can of worms, Brian. That's a lot of work. That's go see your local PGA professional. No. But overall, I mean, setup will influence the path of the club. So if the path of the club kind of goes straight down your target line and your face is relatively square to that path, you're going to hit a relatively square golf ball. That's kind of the way it works, right? But if the path is going out to the right for a right-handed golfer, so the club's coming in and it's coming out, and the face is closed, you're going to hit a draw. If you go out and the face is open, you're going to hit a push slice. So the relationship from the face to the path is really important. So setup is massive on the way that your path will how the club will travel to the ball and through the ball, which is massive. But it's much less important than face control. But again, I would say there's no easy answer. What you're going to have to do, Brian, is just a lot of trial and error. I would go really tall, hit some shots, go really bent over, and then kind of find in between where you can actually hit pretty good contact and just say, hey, take a picture. This is where I'm at. This is what it looks like. And then I would do the same thing with grip. I would go really, really strong. I'd go really, really weak. Right hand should follow. So if the left hand's getting really, really strong, the right hand gets more under the club and vice versa. And just see what combination actually allows you to hit a pretty daggone good golf ball. But golf is hard. Right, Eddie?
I've played 3 times so far.
Has it gotten any
almost
easier?
an expert.
Has it gotten any easier?
Nope.
But you had a nice final shot on the par 3 that's going to make you come back.
You did.
You had a nice.
You did.
Yeah.
All right. I have a question for Eddie.
Well,
how many years have you been selling real estate now?
22
years. In Charlottesville area, right?
In Charlottesville, yes.
What's changed the most in those 23 years as you've been selling real estate?
Boy, I think the market, the last 5 years have been so unpredictable, even from month to month. Last year, I had a great spring, and I had almost hit my production goal for the year in May. And I was like, this is going to be a great year. And then June just tanked. And July and August, I think I had 1 transaction in September, 1 in October, 1 in December. And it was all, people are going to sit on the sidelines. The interest is going to go down. We're going to wait. The interest never went down. Then we had an election year. So now, no, we got to wait and see who the new president is. So it's all when there's turmoil in the world, it either stops or goes crazy. Yeah. And this year, we thought because of less production last year, it would be a lot of demand this year. And early on it was, but then now you have the potential tariffs. Now you
Yeah.
have the political unrest.
Yeah.
People are nervous. It's been a roller coaster, but thank God I also do property management. I do commercial real estate, so I'm able to make up from what the residential is doing with commercial and property management. So
Yeah. So what would you say is the most underrated neighborhood in Charlottesville and the most overrated neighborhood?
This gets you in trouble right there, Eddie. He's trying to set you up.
yeah,
No. Remember, you're allowed to answer the question any way you see fit.
I
Earlsville is the best, and no, I'm just kidding.
I think neighborhoods that are doing well right now would be the Fiveville neighborhood and 10th and Page neighborhood.
Gotcha.
There seem to be more opportunities there. I think sometimes some of the more mature neighborhoods can be a little overrated. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna charge $1.5 million for this house because it's in a certain neighborhood. You tour it, and they have a kitchen from the east, and they have, just if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I don't want to fix anything. I want to be able to move in
Yeah.
and have, ready to go. But now you have to spend another $500,000 to fix it and bring it up to standards. So,
And good luck finding a crew nowadays.
I got a
yeah,
question for you, Eddie. So have you seen that people like my age, our age, that are out there looking for houses who grew up in a starter home could be sub 200 or 250, right? And interest rates varied at times, but a lot of us of our age grew up with a pretty cheap interest rate when we were in the home buying market. And now all of a sudden you go out and look for a home that's half the home that you may currently have. I mean, it's all around us right now. We paid $349 for mine 20 years ago, right? And now it's assessed at 600 plus whatever. But houses that are half the house we have are on the market right now for 400,000. So the whole specter of what the starting level, and we're much more rural than Charlottesville. Typically, Charlottesville is going to run 150 higher than this part of the valley on the other side of the mountain, right? And
yep,
so those houses now, though, in this area are still hitting 450 for a house that I wouldn't consider near that spectrum. So the whole the spectrum of what the starting level for a certain square footage of house is just completely changed. People just accepting of that, or how about people that are our age? Are they walking in going, "I'm just having a hard time figuring out that that's what I got to pay for a flipping house now"?
yeah. I think it's more the latter. They're like, really? This is what I get for the amount of money I'm going to spend?
Yeah, yeah,
And sometimes they're like, I can make where I live work.
Yeah.
And you saw that during the pandemic. If they couldn't buy a house because they got outbid by investors that came in with all cash, they say, okay, well, I'm going to add a room. I'm going to renovate the basement. I'm going to create an outdoor area.
yep,
Like I can figure out a way to make my current home work.
yep,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't that kind of nationally what's happening though, Eddie? It's older people have big homes, and they're like, if I sell the big home, I'm going to downsize, kind of like what Bo said, to another home that just is going to cost me a whole lot of money. And then with the interest rates, it's like, this is not benefiting me to downsize.
that
So I think that's killing the market too, right? There's no turnover. There's a bunch of people just sitting in homes going, there's no reason for me to sell this because it's, the entry level or what I would downgrade to is just going to cost me what this cost me. What
Yeah.
the hell?
Or the sellers still believe that their house is worth a lot more than it is.
That's
mm-hmm.
always, that's a given.
Yeah. but I think more so the last few years, especially with the demand. And some people are testing the market. They're like, I'm going to put it at this. It probably will not sell, but I'm going to still try.
Yeah.
And that's hard as a realtor. And there's sometimes I don't take listings because it's unrealistic. Like
That's just
my
wasting my
job
time.
is to sell the house so you can make money or so you can get into another house. My job is not to have as many listings as possible that are sitting. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I
true.
don't make money that way. My client don't make money that way. So I would rather just walk away and say, call me when you're realistic and we'll take a look at it.
Call me when you're realistic. They'll never will. Because that's where little Billy sprained his ankle for the first time. And that's where little Sally, got her prom date. And that's where nobody cares about that, ma'am.
Yeah.
Your kitchen is from the 1980s.
Right.
You have a crack in your basement, I noticed, with this wonderful piece of art over the top of it. That's gonna need some. No. That's gonna need some fixing. No. So Bo, on your whiskey journey, what is one or two really cool things in the last year or two that you've discovered about whiskey that you're just like, that's kind of cool?
I think the most interesting thing as you get into this and listen to all the education that you've given yourself over it and learning from you is that every whiskey bottle has a different taste, signature, nose, just that. I mean, that's just been, before, I'll be perfectly honest, I loved whiskey and bourbon for the most part was what I would gravitate towards, but I'd put it on an ice cube or something and roll with it, and it was good. Considered myself a bit of a savant because I didn't have a cocktail, right? So it was, no, I take mine straight or on the rocks, and now realizing that, and that's not bad at all to say you don't put a cube in it and enjoy it that way. But if you really want to get the taste from it, you really got to savor it neat initially to really get the taste out of it. And the fact that every single bottle's got something unique to it, where I probably couldn't have picked it, was there before, but I wasn't paying attention to it. So I think that's probably been the coolest part. Yeah.
What about you,
and
Eddie?
opening up to new things. Like I
Yeah.
think I walked in the very first time we sat down at a table, and I was, rye, I can tell that's a rye. It wasn't. I screwed it up every time, but I was like, I hate this. It's a rye. I can just tell. And you're like, nope, that's not a rye. That's a wheated. That's a this, whatever. And now I'm sitting here, and I actually love a rye. And Eddie, as we found out the other not a few nights ago or whatever, I enjoy the peated. I like the really strong, bold flavor. So the things that I liked about beer, hoppiness and that, and black coffee and all those bold flavors, you can find those in whiskeys too. And to get the peat and the smoke and those really oddball flavors that are bold and strong, it's fun to find those in whiskeys.
All right, Eddie, if you had some individuals coming to your whiskey lounge one day and there was a novice, I've only had Fireball, we know whiskey, but that caliber coming in. You had somebody that's like, yeah, I've had Woodford and I enjoy a good bourbon every once in a while. And then you have the super nut job. We'll call that guy Eddie. So you have these three coming into your whiskey lounge. What recommendations from your shelf right now would you give them?
Ooh,
For each one?
One bottle for all three of them.
You can do that if you want, or you could tailor a bottle for each and with a purpose.
Oh God,
Brian, he's looking at 2,000 bottles on that shelf, trying to pick one for each one. Oh my gosh! That's just because he can reach it. Look at that; he doesn't even want to get up.
For a guy that works out a lot, he's pretty damn lazy, isn't he?
This is a bottle from Texas, and it is distilled by a award-winning female distiller. And to me, this is one of my favorite bottles. And I think a novice person could come in and go, "Wow, this is actually very delicious. It's smooth."
Yeah.
It's 100 proof, but it does not drink like 100 proof. I think a novice will go, "Oh yeah, I can understand why this is good." And I think a geek can go, "Oh, this is kind of cool. It's from Texas. It's distilled by a female. It's the award-winning distillery. I've never heard of it, but it's delicious." So I would say this one right here, and it's Milam and Green. And those are two partners that started this distillery. Bottle and Bond straight bourbon whiskey from Texas.
Nice. I like it. How about you, Bo? if you had a friend coming over to your wonderful whiskey selection, what would you pull for?
You know, this is a terrible question for me because I'll just admit I'm not near as advanced as you guys. But right now, it'd be one of two things. I would pull and this is just it's a personal story. So I would, if I were to pull something off the shelf, it would probably be either a bottle of the Black Draft Straight Bourbon, which is a local distillery in Martinsburg, West Virginia. It's close to our farm. They grow from that area. It's got story for me. It's got history for me. It's good. It's not great, but it's good. It's really solid. That's a good one. And I've really, the other thing I've really gotten into, and I almost brought it down tonight, is the Uncle Nearest. I really have enjoyed the Uncle Nearest 1884, and that's kind of got a cool story too that you opened me up to about being one of the first black distillers, and it's in Tennessee, and that's a pretty cool little story behind that whole distillery, and that's a really good. I enjoy that one as well.
No, I think
And actually, Uncle Nearest, the head distiller now, is I think the granddaughter or granddaughter of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It is a female relative of that original distiller. Yeah, I read that too.
Yeah, man, because the one thing you know about the whiskey world is they got good stories.
They do
gotta have a good story.
But that's the fun, right? So when you buy a bottle, I mean, other than like the Knob Creeks or some of the standards, right? And they can be fun too. But you buy a unique bottle, you want to know the story. You want to know why they got into it. It's the first thing we did with the group down at what was the crap? It starts with the one down in Newport News or Portsmouth down there that we had, the distiller we had on.
Cashel.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fun to hear the story behind the building. Even it's just what got you into it. Why is it important to you? You're a vet. You're in a National Guard armory. It's just fun.
No, that place was cool.
Blind Preacher's the same
way.
You got a colonel. You got a colonel he's a firefighter. He's a colonel in the military, and he's in an old firehouse. And he found the story of the Blind Preacher and named it after him. And the family's been in to see it and has approved of his distilling. It's just cool stuff to have a story behind what you're sitting there drinking.
No, it makes the drink so much better.
Oh yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. Let's see, God, we're almost at 9 o'clock already. Jesus.
What about you, Brian? What would you serve?
Oh, I thought I was gonna get away with this.
Yeah.
Well, number one, I would serve him that Japanese whiskey I hate because I just can't get rid of it.
I have a bottle of that I could do too.
No, I've had good Japanese whiskeys, but this one, it's just total floral. Everything I hate about a whiskey, this whiskey encompasses. And I bought it just because we were doing a tasting of like the world, and I was like, I need to go grab a Japanese whiskey. And
is it a Toki?
I don't know. Let me grab it. It's awful. I mean, somebody likes it.
I had a while he's getting that. I had a non-bourbon drinker. He's a tequila drinker. There was a boss of mine at one point who wanted to give us an end of the year gift, and he went to a liquor store and said, "I need something worldwide, worldly, global that these whiskey drinkers would like." And he gave us all a bottle of Japanese whiskey. I can't remember Takashido. I can't remember, but anyway, I did the same thing Brian did. I've had one pour out of it, and it's still sitting on my shelf. I did not favor it at all. Yeah. Do you have a Japanese whiskey you like?
I do. I mean, to me, Japanese whiskey is similar to Scotch because they sent some students over to Scotland many years ago, and they brought back the knowledge, and they started distilling very close to how Scotland did it.
Gotcha.
Okay. No, I don't know that one. Yeah.
You can see how much has been drunk out of it.
Yeah.
I'll bring this over Sunday and give this as a gift.
Yeah, I have a little a Japanese collection.
It's a pretty light looking whiskey, man. That's really light.
No, I would say if I had someone new coming into whiskey, I would probably start them with a Maker's Buffalo Trace Lost Wheat. Something very friendly, very smooth, very vanilla. But good flavor, good taste.
Vanilla caramel oak.
Yeah. The typical bourbon, you're going to get some of those bourbon notes, but be very nice. Someone's coming mid-level, we're going to start to have a little more fun. We're going to start, our proof's going to start creeping up. We're going to probably get into 3 digits. Yeah. So I would probably go Heaven Hill. Again, if we're kind of staying in the bourbon area, like a Heaven Hill. Or like their 7 year, I think is a good mid-level. And then we kind of a more experienced drinker, one of my favorites, Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Man, you're going to get a ton of flavor notes. And then we'll start pulling some of the higher notes if they're a bourbon fan. But to me, it's just kind of trying to figure out what their palate is. Like, you know, if they don't like brash and harsh, I'll probably stay away from the bourbons and we'll come in with the Irish. Kind of set them through the, you know, start with like a Jameson Black Barrel, go to a Drochambeau, and then maybe up to like a Powers John Lane or something, and give them kind of 3 completely different flavor notes, but give you some of that. And then if they like Scotch, I send them to Eddie. Yeah, like
There you go.
Like Perfect. My 4 bottles or 5 bottles of Scotch.
I'll give you the code to the shack and tell you how to dodge the cameras and where to bob and where to weave and how to get in.
It's like yeah, it's like 2 steps forward, stumble, step back, stumble. This is when Eddie set the cameras. This is what he was doing.
Run.
He was drinking a lot of Blanton's Gold that night, so it was stumble, step forward, and put the camera up. So
and then you got to jump over the moat with alligators and all that.
That's right. The Valkyries are flying around, just waiting for you to go to Valhalla. It's lovely. No, but I think you know, the one thing I've discovered more about the whiskeys than anything is every time I try one new, it's different. There's something different about it, and that's to me is the most fun. Like this tonight, like I didn't know what to expect. I had no tasting notes. I was basically recommended this by the ABC guy by saying some people love it and some people hate it. I was like, why not?
I think that's the other cool thing. You asked what in my early journey here as I'm getting more into it. I think the other cool thing is taste it tonight. It's one thing. Taste it again tomorrow night. It can be something different. You can pick up something different from it. I think that's kind of cool too, because a bottle doesn't necessarily bring you back the same thing every time.
No, I agree. And I put a hefty, probably 3-finger pour, and that baby's gone. So some nights you can look at the table and there's some leftovers.
Yep.
This one
gone.
So
cool.
Yeah, it's different. Eddie, I'll bring you a sample. It's Bo whenever you come over next.
I was just say, don't drink it all. You got to save me at least a test tube or something.
If I drink that whole bottle, I got big issues. Actually, the other night I did a Mitcher's rye, and I put it on ice because it was really hot. I had moved a bunch of rocks, and Mitcher's was upstairs. So I was like, I'm hot. Ice cube, Mitcher's. And that was lovely. I've never had Mitcher's on ice. I was like,
damn. When you're on the chain gang, there's nothing better than a little whiskey on ice. I mean,
pretty good.
Breaking rocks. I mean,
that's right. I wasn't breaking rocks. I was moving rocks. And they're really small pebbles.
Oh, that's cute.
But 9 tons of pebbles is still 9 tons.
9 tons, 9 tons.
And I probably moved 7 of it so far.
Good.
Wow. So I have been moving lots of rock, but they're very little rocks.
There you go.
So I had 1 or 2 other questions. I'll just write it to them via email or whatever and answer their questions. So we'll wrap this puppy up. Give me, as we exit, give me your favorite pour that you're in right now with your whiskeys, and what pour do you want? And we'll end the show that way. So who wants to jump in first?
I'll let you go, Eddie. I got to think about this one.
My favorite pour right now. You know, I picked up an Old Bond 10-year-old Scotch, and that is pretty darn delicious.
Nice. Go figure.
So that, but it's not super peaty, it's not super smoky. It's just a delicious expression of Scotch. So that's probably my new favorite right now, besides the High West. I don't even know what's next for me. I sometimes just go to the ABC store and just walk around and see if I see something that stands out.
Yeah.
Or I listen to a podcast or a whiskey thing and talking about a certain whiskey. Oh, that sounds delicious. Let me try to find that. So
nice.
Yeah. So I don't know where I'm going next.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good place.
I'm going to take a similar tone on that second one, but I'll save it for a minute. I guess my favorite right now, I hate to do this because I feel like we're just like being paid by them, but we're not, I'm enjoying the High West. We've done like a couple different High West. I've got 2 bottles sitting on my shelf right now that I'm just really enjoying that as well. And I really liked the Campfire. That's one of them that I have on my shelf, and I liked that a lot when I tasted it. And I've enjoyed that. And I think for me, I really want to start exploring Scotch a little more. It's just the thing that I've not gotten into. I know. Look at you shaking your head. Eddie's like, "Yeah, baby, I got you. Come on."
Yeah,
But
come on.
I want to explore it a little more because I think that's the next. It's bolder, I think, to me, from my understanding, and so I kind of want to get into that a little bit more than just the whiskey. So we'll see what happens.
I think it's a little more complex. You get
Yeah,
more notes
yeah.
from it. Yeah.
Just the flavor profile. I mean, listen, it's it's funny, right? So you start on the bourbon and you like it and you start to figure it out, and then it's not that it gets boring, but it's just a lot of the bourbons have a very similar flavor profile, and we joke about it. Oh, you say vanilla caramel and you're golden. You just sound like a professional, right? But that's kind of the same old same, and it is legitimately in all of them. It's just kind of the nature of the beast and how they make it. So having things that you can pick different tones out of, I think is fun. I enjoy that. I've really gotten into that part.
What
That's
are you
cool.
drinking now, Eddie? I saw a new pour.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go to Texas.
There
Okay.
you go. There you
Yes,
go. You made him pull it down.
and revisit the bottle and bond. Yes.
All right, Bo. If what one would you? So a Scotch would be what you want in the future.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what I would say to explore that. I don't have a clue. So that's why I'd want to start exploring.
Just
I
come
would.
over to my place and we'll go through some Scotch.
We'll do a
Sounds
Scotch
good.
tasting there one
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, we should. We should actually do a Scotch tasting on this thing. We really
Yeah.
should. That'd be fun.
Totally.
Brian, you have to challenge yourself.
Yes.
You can see me over the spittoon going. What's that taste like? Tastes like the
Delicious.
stuff I clean my toilet with. It's florally. It's no. Let's see. What have I been drinking the most of? I've actually been drinking a lot of Irishes lately. So I would say probably John Lane, Powers John Lane is probably what I've been drinking the most of lately. I have their regular strength, I have their cask strength, and their cask strength is absolutely ridiculously good. I like their normal pour, but their cask strength is through the roof. So I've been drinking a lot of that. If I could go find any whiskey on the shelf today,
It's a hell of a question when you got so many distilleries out there
I
nowadays.
know it is nuts. That is tough. It wouldn't be a wheated bourbon. I like wheated, but it's not my favorite. So there goes all the Pappies. There goes all those fancies.
Weller.
Yeah, Wellers would be gone. I would say I would like to try kind of the higher end wild turkeys, the Voyages, because again, I appreciate Jimmy Russell for what he does.
The
So I
annual
think
releases.
yeah, I think to me, I think those would be the pieces that if I could get a hand on something, it would probably be in that ballpark. But again, that's what I love in a bourbon.
Let me ask you a question about the Pappies and the Wellers, because they obviously, is it marketing that gets them out there? Is it exclusivity? Is it they've done a hell of a good job branding and so they're tough to find?
All of it.
What is it that drives it? Because you find real quickly that the things that I mean the most exclusive typically aren't necessarily because they're necessarily the best. So there's a branding marketing side that creates this distinction amongst typically the less diverse whiskey tasters, drinkers, whatever, that says, oh, I'll get well. You know, it's just you have that notion that falls into it, right?
You
So
know,
what is that?
I just saw a documentary about Buffalo Trace Distillery, and you have to realize that they are planning now from 10 years out what they think the production will be.
Wow.
Every time they sat down and planned and go, all right, 10 years from now, we believe the production is going to be this. So we need to step up and we need to produce this. And 10 years later, they got to it and go, well, clearly we didn't produce enough. So now we need to produce even more 10 years from now. And 10 years later, they got to that and go, God, we didn't produce nearly enough. So it's always behind. Now, I do think Pappies, they're overrated. I mean,
Yeah.
they're good.
It's good.
They're good.
It's good.
Right.
But
No, and now it is Buffalo Trace. You know, their distilling is coming from now it's a wheated Buffalo. But again, so I think again, it's marketing is everything. And again, in capitalist systems, it works. If I have a product that people really, really like and I hold it back, or I limit the amount that is out there, of course it's going to drive higher.
Or you put it in a movie like Blanton's, and all of a sudden it becomes the thing, and then you realize, well, yeah,
No,
it's
I
good.
think marketing is like anything. You can have the best product in the world if nobody
Yeah,
markets it and nobody
yeah,
knows you're there. It doesn't really matter. So, I don't think any of them are bad, but I would say definitely. But again, if you're willing to put something in a barrel for 20 plus years, I
absolutely,
mean,
for sure.
that barrel, at 5, 6 years is going to produce 200 bottles. At 20 years, that thing's going to be producing under 100.
A lot less. Sometimes they're even empty.
Yeah, no, like literally sometimes, yeah, some of these guys are even in Ireland are producing 40, 50 years and they're getting a handful of bottles. So
Wow.
you are paying for the exclusivity, but
Yeah,
but to me it's like the wine world, right? You can go buy a nice bottle of wine for $30 and everybody at the table will be like, "Man, this is such a good wine." Or you could go buy a bottle that's, $300 and everyone's kind of like, "It's okay."
yeah.
I'm
It
It's
tastes
okay.
just as good as that other one to me, from my
Or
house.
it could even taste worse, so again, be careful on price, be careful on, and again, if you're a person that likes bold, punchy rye and all that, and then you go into a wheated bourbon, you're like, oh, it's kind of flat and boring. It's okay. It's got some texture and whatnot, but it doesn't have those components I like. And then a wheated bourbon is, just not big up on your list, and vice versa. If you don't like punchy, bold, you know, and I put you in a wild turkey or I put you in a Elijah Craig single barrel, and you're like again. So I think a lot of that it really boils down to a lot of it's just prestige, and it's cool to say I got a Pappy on the wall, I got
Well,
a van.
and just because it's older doesn't mean it's better. It just means it's different.
That's right.
And that's the thing.
Aging and maturation are two different things, right? Just
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's old doesn't mean it's matured into something good. You can go past that level where it was good at 9 years, 10 years. Now here at 13, 14, and now it's starting to get a little
Yeah,
not as good.
yeah.
So don't think of age as being, you
Right,
know, the
right.
maturity piece. Those two kind of run separate as well. But no, I think the best thing to do is just go taste them. Just go taste them.
Absolutely. As many as
Yeah.
you can. Many as you can, as
Yeah,
often as you
man. And again, if you really get in the whiskey world, you'll go to anybody that's really into the whiskey world and you're into whiskey, you walk into their house, they'll immediately go, "Hey, have you tried this?"
Yeah, yeah.
"No, I have not." "Let's go do it." "Have you tried this?" "No, I have not." "That's going to be
Let's
wonderful.
do
Let's
it.
try it." Yeah, that's the beauty of the whiskey world and the culture out there. But no, I think yeah, who was it? John Wick was a Blanton's guy, right?
Yeah, yeah. That was the, yeah, yeah.
I almost cracked a bottle of Blanton's tonight.
Did you?
I was like, maybe I should just crack a Blanton's tonight.
You know
But
what I haven't done
then I'd
since?
be like a pretentious asshole.
I haven't actually tasted a Blanton's, not the way that we taste them now.
Oh,
I've
really?
drank Blanton's, I've not tasted Blanton's, so I
Yeah.
probably should do that again at some point.
All right. What we'll do, Bo, is next time you're over, we'll crack a barrel. We'll
There we go.
crack a Blanton's because I am not a big Blanton's fan. I've tried it, and now the Blanton's Gold and all those are a little better, a little bit, but just plain Blanton's, I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah, it'd be fun to try it again, just with a,
Good.
with a tasting note, and it may come out exactly that. We may be like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
You
Huh?
know,
Take this
yeah.
one over to Eddie's too.
Put a little water in it, make it look like it
I'm gonna
wasn't
have
open.
extra shelves. So
That's
yeah,
what I was saying.
bring it over.
What I'm gonna start to do is all the whiskeys I don't like, I'm gonna slide into Eddie's when
Yeah.
he's not looking, and I'm just gonna start putting things up behind different
Have a
bottles.
stack that has Eddie's new shelf written on it.
And
Just
Eddie's
Yeah.
gonna be
the
like,
ones going to Eddie's new shelf.
Eddie's gonna be like, I don't remember buying the Hatazaka small batch. I'm like, Eddie, it looks like you drank some of it. Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember that evening. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's no, I think the beauty of the whiskey, what I like about whiskey and what I like about golf too, just going to a golf course I've never seen and playing it, just getting that. Playing a golf course is just fun. Like I've never seen it before. Like why did the architect put bunkers here? Like why did the green is like why did he do this? This is really cool. It's the same kind of craftsmanship I look at whiskey. Why did they pick the mash bill? Why did they age it that long? All those components, and then what's it going to taste like?
Yeah.
So I'm a new guy. You put me on a new golf course, give me a new whiskey, I'm pumped up. Like I don't mind. I have my daily pours. I've been drinking a lot of the Redwood Empire too. For a $30 bottle, it's a completely different flavor profile than your traditional South bourbon. Like I love the Redwood Empire series, and but again, I think it's just fun because they're all different. It's kind of cool, kind of quirky, and yeah, it's like I said, I could be spending my money in a lot of places. I don't mind spending 40, 50, 60, 80, 100, 150.
Well,
That's the part you got to cut from this one in case Anita watches it.
No, she knows. She sees my bank account.
That's right. Exactly.
She knows when I think she's even got it when I swipe my card. I think she gets pinged anytime the ABC
I know.
when it says Virginia Alcoholic Beverage
It
Control.
sucks to be married for 30 years, and yeah, they know everything you do.
Well, I told you I started tonight by saying Buffalo Trace was on the shelf today, $20. So I always go. My store's truck shows up every Wednesday. So if I show up, it's usually on a Wednesday. And so I'm walking up and down the aisles. Oh, Buffalo Trace, $24. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, we're out of tequila. So I went over and found her favorite bottle of tequila. It was like $45. So I went home and I go, I just want you to know this was like twice the price of mine.
and this is
she
for
goes,
you.
Yeah. And then she goes, what about the last 8 times you went? All right, you got me. The one day I came home and it was like $395. My bad.
Yeah.
That was my bad. But that was like 3 really good bottles.
I hear you.
But all right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Next week, Lost. Mark Turner is going to be here.
Good.
We're going to do a tasting of Lost with him. And if you haven't met Mark, he's a really, really cool dude. Very funny guy. Grew up on a dude ranch out in like the Wyoming area, and he's an architect. Went in with some buddies and created their own whiskey brand, which is Lost. And probably my favorite, let me think, Virginia bourbons. Probably my favorite Virginia bourbon, to be honest.
Good. We know what we're tasting yet or no?
It's up to us. So he's got it all. He kind of.
Yeah, well, right. Exactly. All right. Well, let us know.
No, I think we're going to we'll probably do what Lost do you have? Do you have any, Bo?
I do, but I'm not up at my shelf, so I've got to look.
Problem.
I'll let you know what it is.
Yeah, snap a picture, and Eddie, if he doesn't have it, I'll make sure you have a tasting. I think all of them right now, but we'll definitely do their wheated and we'll do their rye, whether we go cask rye or wheat cask or do.
I don't have the rye. I think I have the wheated and then the cask wheated.
Okay, maybe we'll do cask wheated and we'll do the regular rye. So it would be the white label with the red would be their regular rye, and then the black label with the gold is their wheated cask.
Okay.
So I have both of those, so that works.
Good.
So that'll be the plan. I'll write him this week and just square that away. So next Wednesday, make sure you show up for that, everyone, and it'll be lots of fun. So thank you, gentlemen. Have a good one, and we'll shout at y'all later.
Cheers.
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 Skål.
Thank you.
Skål.